Jeff retrieved the goat,
Oh, yeah.
but his knee continued to give him trouble.
I can't do it.
At the overnight camp, Madeline and Ryan had a difficult time getting the fire started.
This is frustrating.
And then, Lucky and Louie failed at their shelter building task, putting them at risk of being eliminated.
The windbreak that was put up did no good.
At the survival test,
Go, go, go!
Lucky and Louie!
If there was ever one to win, this was it. I love you.
And at elimination,
25 minutes to light one of those things is crazy. Ryan and Madeline, I'm just not sure you guys will get out alive.
coming up,
And then there were 3.
Jim and Austin, winner of 3 survival tests. Lucky and Louie, who bridged their fears and pushed their limits. Chris and Jeff, who never gave up on themselves or each other.
Remember, only one team standing here.
Is going to win $500,000. The 3 final teams are about to face the last and most dangerous journey of all. It really is a baptism of fire.
I have never seen a more angry-looking river.
Each team will be responsible for their own fire and shelter, and then build their own raft and navigate a dangerous river.
I haven't seen Jim or Austin.
I just turn around just looking for 2 bodies floating down the river.
In the end, only one team will get out alive with a grand prize of $500,000.
I'm after the team that if my kids were stranded in the jungle without me, I'd want that team alongside them.
Who will it be?
I've made my decision. Final journey. A little bit nervous?
Yeah.
Journey 6 and Journey 7 are pretty miserable. I can't imagine how much worse the final journey could be.
Okay, I want to recite to you a poem that's read to every young Special Forces soldier before they do their combat survival training. It says this: go as a pilgrim and seek out danger, far from the well-lit avenues of life. Pit your every soul against the unknown and seek stimulation in the comfort of the brave. Experience cold, hunger, heat and thirst, and survive to see another challenge and another dawn. This is your last chance, guys, to really show me, heart, body and soul, what you're made of. Let's go. What you're about to experience is as close to a real-life survival scenario as I believe it's possible to create. Okay, I want one from each of the teams to come up and draw a knife all together.
This usually isn't a typical knife draw procedure. I had no idea what to expect.
Okay, guys, let's draw knives together. Okay, they're blank. They're blank for a reason.
I was confused. I wasn't sure what to expect.
Okay, on this journey, you're all in charge of all of the tasks.
As always, you'll travel as a group, but for the first time, you're only working within your team.
I think we have the best team when it comes to competing individually, so that definitely feels like an advantage right away.
Last push.
All right, obstacle. You guys are going to be jumping feet first into this journey, out of a helicopter and into an isolated lake. From there, you'll trek through a dense, inhospitable rainforest and then floating down a ferocious river to your overnight camp. Shelter. All of you are responsible for setting up shelter for the night. And remember the 3 elements of shelter: warm, dry, safe. Make your shelter well, or this is going to be a miserable night. Next, fire. This is going to be your biggest challenge. You've only got your fire steel, and being in the middle of a rainforest, everything is wet. Finally, food. I'm going to be bringing you something special tonight at camp, so think smart and remember everything I've taught you.
Lucky and Louie, bring me both your fire steels. In a survival situation, there's no guarantee of gear that's going to be perfectly functioning. You've got to make do with what you got.
He takes our flint and breaks it in half.
Jim and Austin, bring me both your fire steels.
So we're taking away
Chris and Jeff?
most of the things that are going to make you more comfortable at a camp.
Okay, who's got the money? Just remember, only one team standing here is going to win that money. Okay, guys, grab your gear, journey awaits.
I'm pumped, ready to freaking do this. You all right? There we go. We're gonna win this.
We have to bring it. I mean, this is it. We know this being the last journey, we have to kick butt.
8 journeys ago, we had our very first helicopter ride, my dad and I, and now we're jumping out of them. This is nuts that this is now, like, my life. We get to our destination, and it's just this huge lake that Bear wants us jumping into with clothes on. What a way to start off Journey 8. That was the first one of the whole group to jump, and in that moment, I just tried not to think about it too much.
My first thought was, this is a lot higher than I thought it was going to be.
I just shut my brain off because Bear said, do not hesitate.
Looking at it, you're thinking, I hope this turns out okay.
Right before we left, Mom made me promise to not let him do dangerous stuff like that. Sorry, Mom.
I had a bit of concern about my knees, whether it was going to hurt them or not.
Was not excited to get just fully submerged right on the start of my journey.
I was extremely cold. I knew everyone else was cold. So I felt like we had to get to the shore as quick as possible.
Oh. You guys need help? No, we're good.
And we got to shore, and
My toes are freezing.
we all came out of this water. It's so cold. So then you're actually looking forward to a hard hike to warm you up.
To get to overnight camp, the teams must bushwhack through the rainforest, the wettest part of New Zealand. That leads to a dangerous raging river where they're going to float down with no raft. Once they reach land, they're going to set up camp for the night.
There we go.
We were going to take turns with the GPS. Austin was going to start us.
Well, good news is I'm already warming up.
Starting out this journey, soaking wet, you gotta really work to keep a smile on your face.
This is real man hiking. Only sissies take trails. That might snap back on you.
You have to watch your steps. Just puddles of water that you have no idea how deep they are. And we step in it and it goes all the way up to your waist.
Whoa. For all of these guys, it's their first time to the rainforest, and it really is a baptism of fire.
Sounds like the river's close. Whoa.
We eventually came down to a river that we needed to cross.
All right, this is flowing pretty fast.
I have never seen a more angry-looking river in my life.
The worst, like, flooding you can imagine. Trees and stumps just roaring by.
Definitely look of trepidation on their face. Scary getting in it.
It was a bit disheartening to see such a big river.
Coming up, I know this is scary. Just face those fears, get in, get down there.
It's gonna be cold again.
This river crossing definitely makes us nervous.
We should hook all the bags together. All right.
I wanted to quickly get a plan of action because I knew once one of us got in, that person would be cold.
We'll probably have to get in the water to do it. All right. Can you stand? No.
I was freezing. It just felt like people were just hesitant. They didn't want to do it.
I'm lucky we're not going to attach mine until the end.
I was a bit frustrated at that moment.
Bring it down, bring it down. We're in the water already, we gotta hurry.
On their own, they're never gonna just get in this river. Jeff, you're freezing, look at me. Because you don't have time to sit around like this. Get in that river. That's it, I know this is scary, all right? It's fast-flowing, intimidating river. Just face those spears and get down there.
I mean, I was a bit frustrated the bear had to show up, but then I was also kind of grateful that he did because people started taking the action that we needed to do.
Confident, got hold of each other.
I was scared for the entire group. These are the kind of rivers that cause fatalities.
Being in a river that's flowing that hard and that fast is terrifying. All the water is brown and muddy. You can't see anything through it, and it is moving so fast.
The scary thing about floating down that river was that the river level had been elevated due to heavy rain, so you can very easily run into hidden objects underneath.
I just keep your feet up.
Oh, is that the island right there? Yeah. We're looking for an island, and it's about 800 meters away. You know, we just kind of got in the path of the river and just kept floating down.
We're getting close.
It started to shallow up, and we were able to stand and make our way over to the island.
Everybody's got bags?
When we finally got to shore, I just picked up my pack and I was like, I got my game face on.
We're close to camp and I'm just ready to build a shelter and start a fire.
Just cross there and get on that island.
Follow the landmine. Oh my goodness.
Everybody help the next person.
We're approaching overnight camp,
It's extremely cold, it's wet. My knees are hurting more again.
and on top of that, it's getting dark. I'd like to get to camp as early as possible to get our shelters set up.
More of these vines.
When we reached the site where camp was to be, it was very depressing.
Oh, flip, you gotta be kidding me.
Home sweet home, huh? So we know we don't want to be by that water.
This is a total different scenario we've ever come across.
Everything's twice as much more complicated than I think than all the other journeys.
So these guys are definitely far out of their comfort zone, but that's good. This is all about their growth, stepping out of that comfort pit and doing something different.
Did you find any elevation going up yet?
It was hectic. Everyone was trying to find high ground and get a shelter put together quick because you knew you couldn't start a fire unless you had a shelter.
There's water standing everywhere here.
Luckily, Louie and I found a spot that was just above water.
Actually, if you just kink it, it'll latch. Oh, that one didn't kink. That one broke.
Yeah, mine are not kinky.
This is very much fun for us.
When you're working in the rain, it's hard to not sing.
You gotta be positive when it's drenching like this and you're hungry and cold. What else can you be but happy?
I'm warmed up a lot.
Dad, you all right?
Yeah. When we got to camp, I noticed there's puddles everywhere. The rain keeps coming down.
This isn't my ideal camping weather.
Crack down some of these big, actually this one right here, want to push that over?
Nice. Each team is on their own for building their own shelter.
So we had to figure out a way to build some sort of shelter out of fern trees there to keep us dry as possible.
Is it good?
I don't think so. I'm letting go and it's falling.
I found a place where we would be 2 feet off of the ground. We had the base layer perfect, that's how I wanted it, but as we started to construct the shelter upwards, I decided this is not going to work the way I want it to.
Dude, I don't know, but I can't do this much longer.
Come on.
Kidding me?
Coming up, I haven't seen Jim or Austin.
I just turn around just looking for 2 bodies floating down the river.
It's deep! Oh my God! And later, the $500,000 you guys have fought so hard for.
Dude, I don't know, but I can't do this much longer.
Come on.
Kidding me?
Guys need help moving stuff?
Jeff and Chris looked like they were pretty far behind. I asked them if they needed help. When you're out in these survival situations, you need to lean on each other.
It was surprising, knocking over some 15-foot trees. You felt kind of like Paul Bunyan.
Okay, guys, let's have you all gathered around. Jim, Austin, Lucky Louie.
All right.
It's been a tough day for you guys today. The next challenge is going to be fire for you. Always hard in the rain, but it is possible. One of the reasons I want you to make fire is that I want you to eat. I bought you something special for your last dinner. It's a heart. A deer heart. And this is what you need to summon up once more, okay?
I want to hug you.
I was proud of that moment because he was giving us praise. It made me feel good about myself that he was explaining to us that we all had heart to get to this point.
So at dawn, you're going to get up, you're going to make yourself a raft.
You're then going to work your way downriver. Then you'll have a boggy trek through marshy wetlands until you reach the Tasman Sea.
When you reach it, together you're going to make a signal fire. Make sure I can find you. Good job.
Go team, go! Woo. Nice. Our shelter's pretty much complete, so we're starting to collect a lot of firewood.
Preparation is the key, so we have to get everything in place before we start striking the spark.
It's really wet out here in this rainforest.
We got our little half of a flint out, struck our tinder.
Dang.
Oh, man.
And nothing would ignite.
Fire is absolutely impossible.
It's hard even getting a spark on this thing. Okay, what are we doing wrong? Uh-oh. As I was trying to get a good spark, the striker shot out of the handle. Where the heck did that go? That dropped. It was dark. I could hear it fling away. And I looked down on the ground trying to find it in our pile of ferns, and I couldn't find it. The whole thing just ripped out of the holder, so we're hoping to just borrow fire.
Does somebody have a fire going?
It was hugely important to light the fire. I mean, we knew that was going to be part of what Bear was looking for. Dad, help.
What happened? Blow under there again.
It was so incredibly frustrating to be seeing your last little piece of tinder go up in flames, and we're trying to feed it, and it's just disintegrating before your eyes.
Oh, are you serious? I had a flame.
Water. I'm trying to keep my head above it.
There you go. There you go. Yep.
Lucky by far had the most knowledge of anyone that was here. For Chris and I to do them one up, it felt really good.
Nice. When Chris and Jeff got it, we knew that was a big setback for our chances, but at the same time, we were happy to cook that heart.
There you go. Let's all eat this together.
Don't underestimate how hard it is for these guys about to spend their first night in the rainforest. You know, it's intimidating by day, but at night time it can be a whole different ball game.
Now this is having a heart-to-heart. Good morning. Rain, we're glad that you're still here.
So look forward to a sunny day.
Waking up this morning, you know, it's like horrible out here. It's raining and it's cold, but we're still in good spirits this morning, I think.
Seemed like a very long night.
It just shows us to go down the channel and build the signal fire.
On the next leg of the final journey, the teams must get to the bank of an incredibly fast-moving jungle river, where they must build rafts to get downstream. Then they'll head on a boggy trek through marshy wetlands until they reach the Tasman Sea for rescue by signal fire.
When we got there, we found that there was enough wood that we could build 3 separate rafts.
Let's get started.
Why don't we start with this one?
The big logs are going to take work.
Right.
Okay, here's a couple of paddles.
We had never constructed a raft before. We didn't know exactly what to do, so I had no idea how strong the currents were going to be, and, you know, at this point, we're kind of worried.
Now that, look at that current.
You're spending a night out in the wild and it's cold and blustery. You need good, strong, dependable protection from the elements. If the wind picks up, a tent that isn't staked in and secured could ruin your night or even blow away while you're out on a hike. So put that extra effort into your shelter. 10% more effort, 100% more comfort. And that's my survival tip of the week, brought to you by Walmart, supplier of all your outdoor needs.
Look at that current.
They're smart, they'll get in that river, make some decent progress down towards the coast.
We have to get out of that, so we want the smallest amount of wood possible.
We had never constructed a raft before. You know, at this point, we're kind of worried.
All right, you want to get this side?
My idea was that we should do something that was a bit nimble.
It doesn't matter if it goes underwater.
What these guys should focus on is getting big logs to keep them buoyant and safe in this swelling river. And And it doesn't look like those are the sort of logs that Chris and Jeff are going for.
You know what happened the first time we made that boat and didn't...
We don't want to sink again.
Yeah. The first raft that we had tried to build in a survival test was a miserable failure.
Kidding me?
And we didn't want that again. We knew we wanted to find big logs, build a sturdy raft that would take us down the river, and that we would stay high and dry.
My way.
We got the biggest logs that we could find, so we thought we had a pretty sturdy raft.
I think it will float. One of my concerns is the river is moving pretty fast. We're going to have to go down and just hope we don't hit debris or something that'll hang us up.
I just don't like this piece of wood right here, but whatever. As long as we're on top of the water. We're complete with our raft. I'm pretty satisfied with it. I'm anxious to get out there and see if it works.
The river's running high, but it's doable. They stick together.
Once all the rafts were ready, we helped each other launch the rafts.
We got to hurry because we got to stay with them.
I'm incredibly high and dry.
Hey, we're raft working!
We're rafting! Woo!
It just felt like we were riding our war horse to victory.
Hop on, buddy.
Get a raft in the river. It probably sunk about 6 to 12 inches deeper than I expected it to.
Nope.
We're low riding at this point.
How's everybody doing?
Well, can you see him?
I see the boys. So where are Jim and Austin?
I don't know.
I haven't seen Jim or Austin.
Jim and Austin were behind us when we launched, and then as we got about halfway down the river, we turned around and had no idea where they were. I mean, we were thinking that they either fell apart, they sunk, and just turned around just looking for two bodies floating down the river.
We got caught in the side stream, and I thought, you know, dang it, we didn't have a fire the night before. Now we're slowing the pace down.
Jump on it, jump on it. Okay, we're on.
We're good. It's taking its toll on these guys now. You can see it. Soaking wet. And probably damp spirits. They're only human.
It's like super shallow.
Go, let's go. Good job.
I haven't seen Jim or Austin.
Really?
I wonder what trouble they had getting into the current, because once we were in the current, we couldn't wait for them.
Okay, let's stroke together. There we go. I'll follow you.
Once we got in the current, we rafted pretty quickly, but both teams were already waiting for us on the shore.
Way to go, you guys!
Wasn't that fun? We were wondering what happened.
Every little mistake in Journey 8 was like magnified in my head.
Catch somebody.
I know what's on the line. There's a lot of money. It's a big accomplishment to make it 8, but then to make it 8 and to not win, it
Would be very disappointing.
yeah, very disappointing.
Hope y'all are ready.
Let's do this. We don't care if we're walking straight through puddles. Beeline, baby.
Once we got off the river and were on the shore, I took the GPS again. I wanted to finish strong.
Oh my goodness.
It's deep.
There was so many puddles and streams that we had to cross over that it made it difficult.
Oh, there goes my knee.
We got this.
I can't feel my legs. Really, they want to keep moving. Keep that blood flowing. As soon as you stop in these sort of conditions, you get cold very fast.
What is this?
They're certainly not going to get any wetter than they are now.
Up over here, guys.
This is going to be a white knuckle ride.
Coming up. What I'm looking for is a big signal fire. And later.
May the best team win, and we sure hope it's us.
If what Bear is looking for is a team who would get out alive, I think he's found it.
I think that we've encompassed what Bear is looking for.
So how long did you search for this thing?
Probably 5-10 minutes.
See, I would have spent all night looking for that.
Right here. That looks pretty fast.
We get to the little stream that was probably a little stream at one time, but now was a raging river.
Let's use those ropes.
Let's do it.
We had to make a quick decision on how to get across.
You want to do it, Chris, or I'll do it?
Yeah. Jumping in that water, I wasn't even thinking
Go, 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 go!
My mind was just like, let's get everyone across as fast as we can. We are almost there.
There you go!
Nice work.
Stretching that rope across that river was like a common bond.
There we go. Woo! That works pretty smooth.
It was such continuity that we just had not had before.
Come on, Louie.
It was teamwork to the fullest, and I think it proves how much over these journeys we've grown to respect and to trust each other.
There you go, Dad. We're ready.
Like bringing in a big fish. Nice crossing, guys. Thanks, Chris.
Woo! Go straight through here until you find a beach. Build signal fire.
Let's do this.
We could hear the sea closer and closer.
Look at that roar. Woohoo! The beach.
It was just amazing knowing that there's just one final task, and that's just build a fire.
Let's get this party started.
Let's look over here for some wood.
What I'm looking for is a big signal fire, masses of smoke. That's my marker. That these guys have made it down to the coast in one piece.
Let's get in there.
Not catching.
Let me get this.
There you go. No way.
Yes. Yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
I love it. I love it so much.
Look at all the smoke!
Oh, yeah.
Words can't even describe just how calm and anxious you feel. That one fire represents all of it coming to an end and getting out alive.
There it is!
I hear the helicopter.
Yeah.
There he is. Oh, yeah.
There's Bear right there.
Once we heard the helicopter, we could see Bear hanging out the side, and it was a huge relief.
Having gone through this with my dad, he's been a big strength. I love him. I get just as choked up as he does.
I love you.
See that?
I couldn't be more proud doing this for each other and for Mom.
She's the most amazing partner I could have had on this.
I'm definitely a changed man through this experience. This is something I will remember and have been changed forever.
I was already more appreciative of everything in life just 5 months ago from that accident, but now everything is amazing. I mean, God.
Another glorious day in paradise. The feast pit's expanded.
Oh, God.
I tell you what, there's everything you're ever gonna want to hear.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
It's a good food.
Wow.
You deserved it. And then in the P&G box, there's something special. Next time I see you, one team is going to be $500,000 rich. Enjoy the food, you deserved it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Guys, this is a double-decker chocolate cake.
Oh, my
I haven't heard much from Chris.
No time for talk.
I'm still curious about the P&G box.
Let's just look at it.
Oh, what is it?
Letters.
I'm already like, my mom means a lot to me. She always has my back. My dearest Chris, I can't tell you enough how much I miss and love you.
I know these last 5 months have been physically and emotionally draining for you. I think about you every day. You better read it. I won't get to it.
Jim, I've missed you very much. Getting out alive is more than just making it home in one piece. This experience will have you coming home alive in a lot of new ways.
Awesome.
I'm going back to my wife a different man.
Okay.
Look, I love you and I can't wait to see you and touch you again. Touch you. And I want to hear.
Yeah, old people touch, okay?
Reading that letters from home was a special moment for me. It was a great way to cap off the final feast pit.
Did you use the girly stuff?
No, I use the manly stuff.
I use the girly stuff, so what?
So what?
Man, it's the simple pleasures, you know?
It's deodorant time.
I will be heartbroken if he said, "Lucky, hand me your knife."
I think we should win because, I mean, if what Bear is looking for is a team who works well together and would get out alive, I think he's found it.
I'll take everything.
I feel that we're deserving. I think that we've learned the most. I think that we've kind of encompassed what Bear is looking for.
You don't have to seal us up too tight if we're not getting in the water.
You never know.
Yeah.
May the best team win, and we sure hope it's us.
Coming up.
How was your raft?
When we first launched, we ran into an obstacle.
You know, to me, this is kind of reminiscent of Journey 1. You know, you got to think. I'm after the team that if my kids were stranded in the jungle without me, I'd want that team alongside them. Packs down, grab a log, and head torches off. I'm looking at 3 incredible teams here. All walks of life, bound together by values that have been forged through adversity. You know, if I look back to the combat survival training I did in the Special Forces, you know, I remember week 1 being exhausted, being hungry. But do you know what? Week 3, I came alive because I got mad. Nobody was going to stop me getting out of there. I'm after the team that if my kids were stranded in the jungle without me, I'd want that team alongside them. That's who I'd want to depend on to get them out alive. Before I choose that winner, let's go through the journey. Jim, you're 61 years old. What on earth are you doing jumping out of a perfectly serviceable helicopter?
I did it because of this guy.
Why?
Because this whole experience meant so much to him, I needed to do it.
Austin, how was it for you jumping out of the helicopter?
It was definitely nerve-wracking. I was the first one out, and I dropped my bag, and it fell for a bit longer than I thought it would.
Takes a little bit of balls.
Yeah.
And then you were straight into the rainforest. Where did the GPS lead you to?
It led us to a really floody-looking river.
Pretty intimidating place, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So, Jeff, what was the plan?
The plan was to attach all of our backpacks together through the straps, but it took a while.
What was taking so long?
I don't know if people were hesitant because there was some fear there because it was rushing quite rapidly. Once you showed up, everyone jumped in quite promptly after that.
Lucky, how was the flow?
It was incredibly fast. We were making a lot faster time down in that river than I could even imagine we'd flow.
Jim, GPS led you to a little place where I said make camp. Was it your ideal campsite?
If you call raining cats and dogs and no tarps with you ideal, then yeah, it was ideal.
So what was the plan?
And everybody worked independently building their shelter, but it appeared like everybody was following the same kind of plan, looking for high ground.
So that's successful?
I think overall we had a fairly roomy, comfortable shelter.
Chris and Jeff, took you guys a while. What was your plan?
I didn't want to find high ground. I wanted to raise it above the ground. That ended up causing us some issues because when we tried to do the roof support, we couldn't get it supported.
For me, it was pretty painful to watch. Plan after plan was failing. So was it dry?
It was totally dry in there. We even had a spot perfectly for the fire that had cover.
So you guys started fire?
Yep.
Yes, we did.
Good job. Jim and Austin, how did your fire go?
I started sparking with the fire steel, and 2 or 3 tries into it, the stick popped out of the handle, and I couldn't find it.
So how long did you search for this thing?
I spent probably 5-10 minutes looking for
I would
it.
have spent all night looking for that. That's your lifesaver.
Right.
And Lucky and Lou, how did your fire go?
So at one point we had a flame, and everything was going great, and then it's just like, so frustrating, and it went out.
Chris and Jeff, you shared your fire.
Yeah.
Fire saves your life out there. I'd be pretty grateful to Chris and Jeff at this point. Okay, next morning, a task you were making a raft. Chris and Jeff, how was your raft?
Well, the idea for our raft was to make it nimble.
We had the lowrider of the boat.
But it was fast.
Yeah, it was fun.
You know, you don't need extra speed. That river's running fast. What you need is buoyancy to be out of that water. You know, to me, this is kind of reminiscent of Journey 1. You've got to get out of the water. It's where you drain all of your energy, all of your heat. You know, you've got to think. Jim, how's your raft?
When we first launched, we ran into an obstacle.
So did that delay you?
It did delay us.
Louis, how was the raft build?
Super learned our lesson from that first raft that we were building in the survival challenge. So we took our time, and once it got in the water, we were still completely dry.
Good job. Final bit of bushwhack, heading towards the coast. Austin, tell me about that.
Everyone was wet again, so we just tried to set as brisk a pace as possible.
We wanted to finish strong.
Finish strong. Big mantra of a good survivor. Lucky, you reached the coast. What do you take away from this?
I've learned that she's not my baby anymore. She has been my rock more than once on this trip.
I like being your baby sometimes.
I'm just more impressed with her than words can describe.
Jeff, what did reaching that coast mean to you?
Reaching that coast was the culmination of everything we had been through all the journeys. I couldn't have been more proud in that moment.
Jim, you hit the coast. What did that mean?
It was an unforgettable moment. It's been a marvelous experience for us.
Standing there on the beach at the end, knowing that I was there because of my dad's help was something I'm very grateful for, and I'm glad that he came with me on this. It's an experience we're going to share for a long time.
Jeff and Chris?
You started off with jumping in that freezing water with your last set of dry clothes. You almost became hypothermic. But throughout the course of these journeys, you've shown heart and grit. You've carried the weaker people's packs, both of you have. And you've pushed through some real pain. I admire that.
Lucky and Louis?
You get the whole cheerfulness and adversity stuff.
Louis, you've never once complained.
Even though you're terrified of heights, you've constantly faced it head on. Across gorges, down cliffs. Yeah, you've had your struggles, but you've never lost hope. And you've lent on each other. And it's amazing to see.
Jim and Austin?
Calm and cool under pressure. You won a record 3 survival tests. But above all, you've worked your backsides off, journey after journey. And you've always supported each other. We've got 3 very strong teams.
Okay, I've got one final task to do, and that's to choose a winner. And that's hard for me, because the truth is you're all winners.
You've all earned my respect the hard way.
This symbolizes the $500,000 that you guys have fought so hard for. But at the end, there's always one. Okay, I've made my decision. The wild is always revealing. The lesson of all of these 8 journeys is fortune favors the brave. For me, there have been one team here that have given more than anyone else. They've shone in the darkness and have been a beacon of positivity and courage in adversity. A team that have earned the right to keep their knives. And that I believe if they stood beside me, that together we'd stand a fighting chance of getting out alive. That team is... Lucky and Louis. $500,000 earned the hard way.
Thanks, Bear.
Congratulations, buddy.
Good job. You did awesome.
Chris and Jeff, go live your life without boundaries. Both of you.
I'm just so thankful that we were able to experience this, and it's just a great memory we'll always have to look back on.
Special man, Jeff.
I've just gained a new me. I was so lost after the accident. I was depressed. I didn't know what I was going to do. This was the perfect rehab for me, physically and mentally. I couldn't have asked for anything better.
Austin and Jim, come and hand in your knives.
Strong bonds that have been made even stronger.
You guys leave with your heads held high.
It's sad to come this close and not make it all the way, but my dad and I now are already planning our next adventure. Hope to be climbing Mount Rainier next year and doing things to keep my dad young.
It's just been a marvelous opportunity and experience.
We're going back with a heart full of gratitude for all those little things we took for granted in life, and especially good food.
Lucky and Louie. Grab your bags, grab the $500,000, get over here.
Just two country bumpkins decided on a whim to try out for this thing, and we went from a town of 1,000 people to New Zealand. Still can't believe that it's real.
To come here in such an incredibly beautiful surroundings and see my baby just blossom into the most courageous person I know has just been so fulfilling and heartwarming.
We're just like the luckiest people in the world. Thank you so much.
Gonna be an inspiration to many.
Thank you very much.
Let's get out of here. First beer's on you.
Yeah, I'll buy.
Blair Underwood stars in Ironside, Wednesday, October 2nd, here on